this is sort of the tell-all.
Yeah.
So what happened this week there, T-Dog? Everybody's dying to know.
I'm no longer a part of Bruno's Italian restaurant in downtown.
Is it a good thing or bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. Some bad things, some good things, but I think everything's gonna be better this way, honestly. So
yeah, I mean we talked about it earlier. It sounds like it's all go across the board. It just sounds like kind of maybe a shitty situation.
Yeah, I mean
from the get go.
And that's the thing, man. Is like you work so fucking hard for something, whether you're a chef, whether you paint, whether you fucking do whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you work so hard for something to build a restaurant, basically, and it's already a restaurant that was successful for 16 years,
Turnkey,
so it's like you go into a restaurant and it's already successful. So a lot of people are just going to like mooch off of that. A lot of people are just going to be like, fuck it, I don't need to change nothing. But for me being 28 years old, I can't do that. I couldn't just sit there and cook Bruno's food and, try to reap the benefits and things like that. And at the same time, like I told you with my contract, that wouldn't have worked, right? Because I couldn't have made any more money to make the contract work,
From what you were telling me, and maybe I'm going a little too in depth, but you were doing too good.
Yeah.
What your original, and you never even signed a contract.
No.
Really. So what you're telling me is that it was incentive based.
Yep.
And so the better you did, the quicker the restaurant was paid off and it became yours.
Yep.
And you were crushing record numbers at Bruno's.
Yep.
And that probably wasn't going to be paying the mortgage on the building.
And that's the thing is like, I told everyone in the very beginning that I was going to pay it off in the first year.
And we should explain too. So you had partners in this deal.
Yes.
So it wasn't just you. It was, and then they sought you out for your culinary skills.
Yep.
To take over
a restaurant.
Yeah. Because Bruno's was a part of the building they were buying. Did Bruno own the entire building?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was either shut it down or find someone to run it to pay off the mortgage essentially.
Yeah. So basically, like I said, if I would have kept doing what Bruno was doing, I would have never paid it off, right? Because it was basically based off of profit, and
the contract.
Exactly. The contract for me owning the building or the restaurant eventually was built off of profit. Now,
was that for the restaurant itself or the building it was
a restaurant?
So just the name Bruno's, the restaurant
downstairs, like the first floor, and then downstairs.
So you would own the first floor as part of the entire restaurant.
So that's what I was buying basically. I didn't care about the upstairs. They wanted to do their own thing up there, So I didn't care about the upstairs, but I was working to pay off the restaurant because that's what I care about,
Right.
So for me, I did everything in my power to make the business more busy, which means more profit, which means I can pay it off quicker.
But that's what happens when you incentivize someone like this. And that's the risk you run when you make a deal like this.
So that's the shitty part is that, the whole entire situation just ended up just being fucking quacked out basically. Like I do all of these things. I make 3 to 4 times of the amount, every month than what it was doing before. And yes, like I said, I was trying to, say to you earlier is yes, we had a couple more employees, but that doesn't mean that we're just going to go bankrupt because of that. It doesn't mean we're not making profit now because of that. Because if I'm doing 4 times the amount,
2 more employees,
and 2 more fucking employees, it's not gonna make a difference.
You can't do 4 times business with the same amount of
employees. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I was on a path like very, very quickly to easily do about probably $400,000 more in the first year than it's ever done. And that's a big thing. So if I did that, there's a lot of profit that's made. And that's the other thing is that if that was to happen, the building would have been paid off before my first year was even over, and for sure after my first year was over,
your area would have been paid off.
But
100%. The building would still be
the restaurant would have been completely fucking paid off.
Which, in theory, though, you just pocket that money, save it, just pay the thing off. Like I mean, come on, It's
And that's
isn't
like
rocket science.
That's the thing is like, it's all like it was a weird and shitty situation whenever I got to Thursday, basically.
And that's when you announced the whole thing was off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, because it's one of those things where it's like, I try to do everything that I could for my employees. I try to do everything I could for myself.
Right.
But at the same time, like whenever you take over like an ownership type of thing, you really kind of a lot of the time you forget about yourself.
Well, 100%. You're
you
always the
forget
last
about
one to get
yourself.
paid.
100%.
Yes, talk to any business owner out there. You're
always
the
forget
owner's the
about
last
yourself.
one to get paid. You want to make sure your guys are good because without them, you're nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to mention. Like the line in the sand was your employees and their wages.
And that's the thing is like you can ask any of my employees, any of them, and every single one of them would tell you like if you sat down and you asked them, hey, did Taylor ever try to get you more money? Did Taylor ever try to make your job easier? Did Taylor ask too much of you? Things like that. They would all say, yes, he always tried to get us more money. Yes, he tried to make our life easier. And sometimes I just couldn't. Sometimes I had to make their life harder because I was also making my life harder, quote, whenever we were losing other employees.
Right.
When we were losing employees, we had to pick up the slack. That's how it is anywhere.
Sure.
Whether like I said, you're painting, you're a fucking roofer, whatever, you have to pick up that extra slack, which sucks.
You can't do everything,
No,
though.
That's
the thing. And as much as you feel like you can and you're just going to bury your head in the sand and do it, you can't.
Yeah, and that's like...
And everything, you've got a girlfriend, you've got a life outside of this shit, and all of that shit starts to suffer when you're in that bury your head mode.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, man, where it's like I stopped caring about myself and what was going on in like my own life because I was so focused on like, okay, they're telling me that in order to pay my employees, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do this and I have to do that. So I was trying to do all of those things on top of everything that I was already doing.
Right.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
It's
4 times what Bruno was doing.
I'm already doing a shit ton, right? I'm already doing what my mind was set on. So now I got to do all these other things in order for me to get my employees more money. It's like, I can only do so much.
No, I've totally been there. I was working 20-hour days, just to, get done so that things get paid, just to keep everybody on board and keep the paychecks flowing. And, it's a weird, I think we're on the same page here. It's like, it's not about you. It's a weird kind of superpower almost where it's like, I have to do this because there's other people depending on me.
Yeah.
And that can totally cloud the rest of your entire world.
Yeah, and it does. It definitely, especially in a restaurant. There's like you're taking care of like hundreds of people a day. Like that's what you're supposed to do, and you have to make sure that like food quality's up and your employees are at work, and if they're not at work, what the fuck are you gonna do? Like you have to. There's so many things.
You're
that
a
go
fireman.
into it.
You're putting out fires constantly.
Constantly. I mean, constantly. But you're also trying to be a fucking artist to make sure that everything's perfect. It's like you're doing so many different jobs at one time.
And unfortunately, the thing that people come for, that art, is usually the first thing to go out the window when you start caring about that, because you can't quantify art. You can't really say, oh, doing this right gets me X amount of money.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this guy working 6 hours is going to cost me X amount of money.
Yep.
Or if I take that and I put that back in the bank, and I do the dishes tonight, that's going to put this amount back in the bank. You can't quantify art, which is unfortunate, but
that's
that fine line we were talking about earlier between wanting to be an artist and kind of be creative and do new things and push the envelope creatively and having to actually run a business and keep money going.
That's the thing is like there's a lot of things that went into like what I did there. There's a lot of things into what I did there, and like my biggest thing was like, okay, I want to give people like the most authentic Italian food that you can get in Springfield. So I did the research. I read plenty of books. I tried things. I sampled stuff. I did all these things.
Now you got paid for that, right?
Fuck no.
Exactly.
Fuck no. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, I did all those things to make Bruno's what it is now, and who knows where it's going to be now.
That's the thing.
And that's not my problem anymore. But
and you've got to keep that in your mind. That's not your problem, good or bad.
Yeah. So
it's not your issue.
If it succeeds, great.
Yeah.
Something that I helped build is succeeding, things like that. That's great. If it fails, it's
you know
not
why.
my problem. You know,
Yeah,
like, it's not my problem. I know why it failed because it wasn't failing when I was there. You know, so it's just one of those things where it's like, man, there's so much shit that I had to do to make the menu and make the recipes and things like that I did there. And
without trumping the regulars and then the history of Bruno's itself.
Yeah, and it's like I had to explain to the regulars what this is, or you know what to expect whenever I take over.
Right.
You know, I had to do that whenever Bruno was still there.
Yeah.
Like I had to tell these people, like I'd tell the Deeds and the Carvers and other people that would come in like every week, no matter what. I had to tell them like, look, this is kind of where I'm going with this next menu, and I would show them, and they'd be like, this looks awesome. So it's like, but the thing is, visually, people are going to be like, oh, this looks awesome. But now I have to go back and now I have to execute it perfectly. Just to make it where it's like, oh, this actually is good.
Walk the walk, so
exactly.
to speak. Yeah.
So I can show you a fucking menu and it's going to be like, oh my God, it's amazing.
I can tell you
now,
how
if it's all shitty.
Right. If you're doing that and shit's going haywire in the kitchen and everybody's watching, because experience is half of eating. Like people don't want to, I think a lot of people do get that the entire experience is more than just how it tastes.
Yeah.
But and I thought you did especially for having an open kitchen, because that's particularly tough.
Yeah.
When you have, because especially cooks, they're kind of they can be mouthy sometimes. Yeah. You know that better than anybody. And so you're asking not only your cooks to perform culinary wise, you're also asking them to be on their mind their P's and Q's and be on their best behavior. So that's just another thing that you have to worry about as the chef there.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's not even just employees; it's myself.
Right.
Like I have to tell myself not to say fuck. I have to tell myself to not be like, dude, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I have to tell myself to not do all of these things that I would normally do in a kitchen.
Right. Not think twice about. Yeah.
These fucking people. You can't just drop that.
Right.
When the table's right in front of you. I had to change the way the way I acted in a kitchen. It's like I cuss a lot.
Yeah.
Whether I'm just in the streets or I'm talking to my mom or I'm talking, whatever. I cuss a lot. So it's like trying not to.
It's another personality like almost. I've noticed.
And just being like, cooks are fucking weird, dude. Like cooks, chefs, we're all fucking weird, right? Because we just do stupid shit, right? So you can't when you're in an open kitchen, you can't do that.
That's the thing. And so not only and we kind of discussed this too, the labor issue. So not only do you have to, let's say you find a great cook, but he's a fucking hothead and he's tatted from head to toe. It's like you have to consider that. Like, this guy would be a great hire. You can't hide that motherfucker. It's like this would be a great hire. Like,
you
can't
hide
perfectly qualified for the job, but unfortunately,
you can't hide that
guys
motherfucker.
Can see it. Yeah,
you can't hide people like that. I mean, dude, not that long ago, like when a dude came in to apply for a dishwashing position, and we needed it.
Yeah,
we needed it.
Yeah,
but me, like, dude, I have plenty of tattoos, right? But I don't have any from here up. Right. So the thing is, like, I don't care if you have a face tattoo. I don't care. I don't care. If I don't care if
it's
you're
not about what you care about, though.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, this dude had devil horns.
All right. Not cool.
And
not
I was
cool.
Like,
In general, not cool.
I was like, look, man, like, I wouldn't care about the rest of your face tattoos and your neck tattoos and shit like that. But I was like, that's just too much.
Yeah, you gotta chill.
I can't have you running dishes to the line with devil horns. You know what I mean? Like I can't have you do that. So unfortunately, I couldn't hire the guy. But I mean, he was a super cool dude, and shit like that. And I just I couldn't do it because he has fucking devil horns. It's like I can't do it. Like I can't do it. Like
right?
If everyone walked into the building and they were all on DMT, that'd probably be a pretty cool experience to see a guy with devil horns.
Or not.
Or not. But it's just one of those things that I can't have my elderly guest come in and fucking see a dude with devil horns.
So that just further limits your ability to hire.
Yeah.
So
now if we were closed kitchen, that dude had a job in a heartbeat.
But that's the thing. This Golden Corral, buddy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Go. There's a perfectly good job at the corral for you.
Yeah, that dude had a job instantly. The
fact is, there's almost any other, because there's not many open restaurants.
No.
Downtown, right?
No. Bruno's, I think, is one of the only ones.
I'm trying to think of another one.
Because like Nona's isn't, Vandervoort isn't, Chicago cheesesteak is.
Yeah, but
don't really count that because you only fit 3 people in there.
Cheesesteak.
Greek Billy is. I mean, now when it comes to like restaurants,
sit down restaurants,
I think we're the only one.
Yeah. So that just already the labor pool is so short.
Yep.
And this goes back to why you need more money to pay employees, because you're not able to just hire anybody off the street. Yeah. You could say, let's hire a dishwasher and pay him $10 an hour. That's not going to fucking work.
No.
Because the dishwasher you're going to get for $10 an hour is a felon. Yeah. It's not the kind of person that's going to bring value to the company that you can deal with, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm putting forth all this work and effort to make this restaurant money, to make my partner's money, to make all these fucking, people besides myself money, mm-hmm. And you sit here and tell me that you can't pay the employees unless I do this or I do that or I do this or I do that.
That's bullshit. It's when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers.
You watch day in, day out because you have incentive.
YouTube, I'll tell you this. The numbers are looking good.
Yeah, right? That's the thing.
They're looking great.
That's the thing. How can you tell someone who is incentive based off of profit, that wants to know how much every night he's making, how much closer he is to his goal?
I look every night.
Because you're that much closer to your goal of owning this restaurant.
And at the same time,
how can you tell that guy that you're not making money when he's looking at the
biggest
money?
part is too, Russell, you have to realize that's my incentive was profit.
Yeah.
So when you sit there and you tell me that the restaurant's not making any money, well, guess what that tells me?
You're a fucking slave at that point.
I'm never going to own it.
Yeah.
I'm never going to own it. And why the fuck would I want to own a restaurant that makes no fucking money? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to go in there and work as much as I fucking am to make zero money? Why would I do that? Because you're bluffing. Because you're bluffing because you know this motherfucker's making money, but you just don't want to put it out.
Because you need this restaurant to pay off the building.
Exactly.
That's the thing. That's the whole root of this deal. They didn't expect you to pay off as quick as you did, or you were going to. That's why they delayed your contracts.
Yeah.
That's why they did all this shit, because you were
I was on the road to pay this off in the first year, and they thought it'd be a 3 to 5 year thing.
Right. So that means
because they wanted me to make enough money to where they could pay off the whole entire fucking building.
Right. It was turnkey for them. Yeah.
So therefore, they could sit there and not do anything besides, submit payroll and blah, blah, blah. They can sit there and do absolutely dog shit nothing. Mm-hmm. And then they reap every benefit from it. The building's paid for now. The restaurant's paid for, but the restaurant just paid for the building, so we don't care that he owns it now.
And
because we can do whatever the fuck we want with this building.
Let's be clear too. These numbers were based off of Bruno's numbers, which weren't particularly great. Their forecast for paying off this building, it made financial sense when you were pulling in $90K a year in profit.
Yeah.
That could pay off a $500,000 building in 5 years. That makes sense.
Yep.
Now, when you do 4 times the amount of money, the total revenue, you're going to do 4 times the amount of profit.
Yep.
Meaning that shit's getting paid off a lot quicker. They're going to have 3 or 4 years where they are having to out-of-pocket pay for the goddamn building.
Yep.
So why would you stay for that?
I wouldn't, and I didn't.
Exactly.
So, it's just like there's so many other things too that we're tied into that situation. Not just the the contract situation. It's them not being able to pay the employees because the restaurant's not making any money. So the funny thing is to me is that of course, as soon as and this is the greatest part. Okay, this is the greatest part of my escapade on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right whenever I told them basically that I wasn't coming back, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, we can meet tonight and we can talk about your contract and we can talk about getting all the employees more money. You're doing this because you can't lose me, right?
Sure.
But fuck you because
you've already
fucking told me a million times that we can't pay the employees. We can't pay the employees. The restaurant's not making any money. But now whenever I threaten that I'm leaving, oh, we can pay the employees. We can talk about it. We can talk about it. We can definitely pay the employees. And we'll get your contract done. We're actually going to talk about your contract tonight. No, fuck yourself.
I don't give a shit about talking about a contract.
No, I don't care. Put that shit in my fucking hand so I can take it to my lawyer and have him look over this shit and then come back to you and I'll be like, okay, now I'll sign.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk to you about it.
We've been talking about it.
I don't want to talk to you about it. I ain't got nothing to talk about.
So you were working out of contract for this entire time?
Fuck, man. Since I still worked for Bruno. You know, like, I mean, and yes, I understand that there's some things that they had to do in order to make a contract, but at the same time, it's like, we'll have your contract in January.
It's not that fucking complicated. You already had it a deal.
Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't. You know, you didn't have it in January. Then you didn't have it in February. You still didn't have it in March. Like, what the fuck are you waiting on? You know, what are you waiting on? So it just didn't make any sense. I was like, dude, fuck this shit. I'm not waiting anymore.
Which,
maybe
they are outsmarting. Maybe they're thinking like, oh, well, even if somebody comes in and does a shitty job and they do a quarter of the business, then that still means that it's paying it off over 5 years.
Yeah. Because they get to pay the building off sitting at home. Basically.
So if they did a quarter of the business, if I came in there, because every time I was in there, dude, it was packed. Yeah. I was almost claustrophobic. It was so fucking packed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. It's shady business all around. I mean, if there's any other, that's the thing too. Is you proved yourself. I think. Again, I don't know too much, but I'd say you proved yourself as a chef and as a business owner. Yep. The way you were able to ramp up things, coming into a business that was existing where there was speculation or hesitation on your ability to perform, and you blew that shit out of the water, dude.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, the other thing that was funny to me was I told them, I said, do you even understand what I have to go through on a daily basis for shit money? And they're like, oh, you think you make shit money, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah.
Well, because you're seeing what's going on.
I'm a restaurant owner, I own the restaurant, but at the same time, I'm getting paid less than what Bruno was making a year. And I'm doing 3 or 4 times the amount that he was doing. Yeah, that's shit money.
I think they just thought they took you for a chump is what it sounds like.
Yeah, no, they did.
They said, hey, we told this guy he's a restaurant owner and he's a chef, and he could tell, he's like, he'll do whatever we say.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like,
and you're not going to watch the numbers.
I'm not stupid.
That's the thing.
I'm not stupid. So anyone out there that tries to pull something, I'm not stupid.
Yeah. No,
I'm not fucking stupid.
That's very, dude, but you can't put the numbers like that. You can't put the data of day-to-day data, money in, money out on a restaurant, and then just lie to you about it.
No. Like, I see the fucking numbers, man.
Yeah.
I'm the one who has to close the fucking drawer.
Why are you watching the numbers?
Because that's my job.
Not even only that.
That's my job, and that's my incentive.
Your incentive.
That I got to keep track of all that shit.
You got to pay this off at this point.
I was even, I got to the point where I was asking my sales reps, every time we would place an order on a truck, I would say, how much was this truck? It got to that point because I was trying to keep track of everything.
Were they hiding? Everything. Were they trying to hide invoices or anything like that?
I had them all.
I was going to say, surely you did, but sometimes, sometimes reps, even lumber yards will have the
why
X'd
I had
out.
them all? Because they would bring me the invoice because they'd be there with the truck. They were there? No, my partners weren't there.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, whenever the people would come with the truck, they'd give me the invoice. Mm-hmm. I had them. Whenever my fish guy would come in and give me, my invoice, I had it. Whenever I would go to Schumann and get meat, I had it and the invoice.
Yeah.
I had control of all that shit.
Of course you did.
So
it'd be dumb of them not to, but
yeah. No, they couldn't hide anything.
It's just funny that they would come out and say that you're not making money.
Yeah.
Or the best part, that the entire profit has gone back into the business.
Yeah.
When every dollar that's gone into that business.
Yep.
You don't see a large fucking credit in the bank account for the business.
Yep. And that's the thing is, like, it's one of those things, man, where it's like I said, the situation sucks, but it's better off now because I think that they thought that, it's going to be easy to replace this guy if he was to ever do something like that. But at the same time, the thing that they don't understand because they're not restaurant people is that it's not going to be easy for them to find someone that did what I did in that short period of time and be able to do it again,
Right.
because I'm not there.
Yeah.
You know, so they're going to have to go in, they're going to have to build their own like version of the menu and stuff like that, which I already made people addicted to the menu that I had.
Well, that's what you're saying.
You know, it's like
these regulars
so now
that
you
have
having. Now you have another guy coming in as like, shit, like, we got to do this, we got to do that. This is how I'm going to make this is how I'm going to make that. And it's like, cool. Well, you just completely ruined what I built, which is fine. It's not my problem. But you just ruined what I built because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Right?
Right.
So then you look at it and you're like, okay, where do they go from here? Oh, down. You know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not trying to be a fucking shiesty piece of shit, but at the same time, it's like, that's just the truth. That's just the truth.
I mean, but you know, I'm not justifying what they did, but I can see why they would do it.
I can see why they would do it too.
But
you picked the wrong guy to try to do it too.
Yeah, well, it's just shitty that you happen to be caught up in that.
Yeah.
You know, that they thought that little of you that you weren't able to build a business to quadruple sales. Like that's their mistake.
Yeah.
They should have picked somebody dumber.
And now it's like, you know, going forward, you know, a lot of people are going to wonder where I am. That haven't, you know, that I'm not friends with on Facebook and stuff like that. But like a lot of people are going to, you know, want to know where I am. And it's not going to be hard for them to find out. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's really not, you know, and once they figure out that I'm literally right down the street.
Right.
Guess what happens to those numbers? They go up because
their numbers.
I'm doing the exact same thing, but I'm going to do it even better because I don't want those people to even ever get close to what I'm doing in sales.
Well,
I want the Italian restaurant that I'm in right now, Nona's, downtown. I want them to be the busiest Italian restaurant in Springfield, and I'm going to make that happen. I made it happen before. I made it happen with Bruno's.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it even better because I don't even want Bruno's to be in comparison to Nona's. You know, I don't want them to even be close. So it's just one of those things where it's like now you push the wrong buttons.
Well, they kind of lit a fire under you, it sounds like.
You push the wrong buttons because now I'm going to make sure that the people that I made addicted to that restaurant are coming down to Nona's now. And they're going to get addicted to it too.
Which you're bringing a lot of that good stuff with you, right? I mean, because they're your
I'm bringing my shit down there.
Yeah,
you know, I'm bringing my recipes down there.
You made it pretty clear to me from the beginning that you really didn't care much for Bruno's recipes.
Some of them.
Some of them. I mean, it can't all be bad,
and that's the thing is like, you know, I just don't agree with like some parts of like, I mean, it's really any cooking. Like, you know, there's your main ingredients, right? I mean, you have to have them, but at the same time, it's like there's also too much shortcut with a lot of things because people are like, oh, I can just shortcut this, and you know, people eat it. Like
use this butter, instead of oil. I mean, I've already got this much butter on hand.
You know, shortcut it. You know, like I didn't have to go into Bruno's and spend 5 hours on making bolognese. I didn't have to do that because before, even with Bruno and stuff like that, he was making ragu in 30 minutes. You know, you're not going to have that authentic, amazing flavor that you can get from bolognese. Right. You cannot have that flavor unless you are making the bolognese for 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't do it. So all these people, all these places in town that are making ragu and things like that, it's like you have ragu, then you have bolognese, you're going to be like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, it's a completely different thing.
I got to ask you, ragu, when I think of ragu, I'm thinking of can. Is that a genuine term for like,
pretty fucking close?
Canned sauce?
Yeah. Like, I mean, literally, like most of the time with like ragu, you were literally going to dump.
Is that an industry
onions,
term or is that just is that an actual kind of sauce?
No, it's an actual kind of sauce.
Okay.
But most of the time, you're just going to take like, you know, some olive oil, some onion, some garlic, and you're going to throw a bunch of fucking meat in it, whether it's beef and pork or whatever your equation is. You know, you're going to throw that shit in there, you're going to cook it off, and then you're going to add your marinara sauce to it, and that's it. That's it.
So the meat,
salt, pepper, you know, but it's one of those things that's like, I don't think you should be adding, I don't think you should be adding,
sauce,
like it's very simple. It's shit you would probably make in your kitchen. That's a
ragu.
Fuck you. I'm just saying, like, that's shit that normal people make at home.
Right,
you're not going to spend fucking 5 hours making a spaghetti and meat sauce.
Right.
You're not going to do that. You can't tell me you would.
No, I would absolutely not.
It's one of those things where it's like, that's the difference. You know, like when you go home and you're like, oh, I want to make spaghetti and meat sauce. So you're going to go home, you're going to, you know, season your meat with a little salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic, you know, whatever. You're going to cook that shit off. You're going to add some spaghetti sauce to it, and it's done.
Right.
That's ragu, right? And there's other ways of making like a very, very good ragu, but people aren't going to do it. People aren't going to take that time, you know? So with bolognese, I didn't have to do that. I did not have to do that, but I did because that's what's real. And ragu is real. Ragu is real in Italy.
And I think
it's a real thing.
Springfield,
you know?
is short of people that have a passion for this. That's willing, somebody can have a passion for food, barbecue or whatever. But a passion for sauces and passion enough to wake up and make a sauce for 5 hours. I think that we're probably in short demand for that, and somebody who's willing to do that probably has their own fucking restaurant.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, you know, with making, a lot of people just don't really like get into Italian food because you just think that it's so simple and, you know, anyone can do it and there's really not that much going on, you know, but that's the thing is that's where people just don't know, right? I mean, a lot of people just don't know that Italian food is very, very, it's like a very open culinary type of thing. You know, like they can do so many different things into pastas. Like,
pasta's a blank canvas,
it's a blank canvas that you can do anything with. You can add any flavor to it. You can do whatever the fuck you want, you know? And at the same time, it's like, when it comes to like, you know, if you really start reading into like the Nona style way of cooking, like not like this restaurant, but like the Nona, like the grandmothers, you know.
Oh, is that what that means, Nona?
Like once you look into that kind of stuff, like they make stuff completely different than like these guys that own Michelin pasta restaurants.
Right.
Or Italian
restaurants. Well, is that because it's ramped up on kind of an industrial scale?
Yeah, like Nona recipes are like...
Isn't there like an Instagram account or something like that? It's just old grandmas, Italian grandmas.
Pasta grannies.
Yeah, that's the one.
I have their book.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a book. That's great.
And it's a good book for you to kind of learn, like, you know, if you go to Italy and you go to like these little small towns with like these mom and pop shops and stuff like that, like that's what you're going to eat there. That's how they cook.
Yeah. Well, it's handed down. That kind of stuff is generation to generation.
You never change it. You never change it because that's a staple.
Well, it's been perfected over all these years.
Like, I mean,
why
dude,
would you?
It's been here for fucking, 200 years by now. You know, the same recipes have been here for 300 fucking years. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, with the pasta grannies type of stuff, man, like it was really cool to read about because it kind of taught me like the simplicity of some things, you know, and that's that's one of the big ways that I kind of learned how to like make my pomodoro. You know, it was that, and then I was reading about like one of my favorite Italian chefs, which, you know, not a lot of people are like, oh, he's good, you know, or whatever.
Guy Ferrari.
Everyone knows who he is, or most people know who he is if they watch any like Food Network channel or something like that. But it's Scott Conant. So he's an Italian guy. He makes just like kind of like a upper end Italian food. And so I started reading a lot of like how he cooks and, you know, things like that. So I was like watching how he cooked like his pomodoro, right? So I took basically what I learned in Pasta Grannies and what I learned from him. And then like I kind of like tweaked it a little bit in my own way where I thought like, oh, it needs a little more basil or it needs a little more garlic or whatever. But it is so fucking simple because of that book. Because of Pasta Grannies.
No shit.
You know, it is
so it's almost eye-opening
simple.
in a way to kind of relieve yourself of the I got to add this and this and this and this and then way overcomplicate. I've always heard less is more when it comes to sauces.
Articles, things like that. I mean, those are your platforms to start doing things on your own. You know, like whenever you go to Google and you type in pomodoro, it's going to be all sorts of fucking weird, right? I mean, like most of the time it's not ever going to be correct. But because a lot of people aren't putting like, you know, they're not reading those books. They're just opening up a fucking can of tomato puree and tossing it in with some fucking tomato sauce. You know, it's like, and they're like, oh, pomodoro. You know, it's like that's what they're putting on Google. So a lot of time, even with Google, like if I Google, like,
I think a lot of that's kind of clickbait shit, though, isn't it?
It is. I mean, like, because I've made some things off of Google, and I'm like, this is fucking trash.
Yeah.
Like, well, it sounds really good.
It's whoever can drive the most traffic, and a lot of times you buy into the top spots on Google.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why, like, like I said, I've done hours upon hours of research on Italian food because I was never really into.
Was that after you got into this whole Bruno's thing?
Yeah.
Like you said, this is a possibility, and I'm going to educate myself as best possible.
Yeah. So the 6 months basically that I was working for Bruno, whenever he owned it, I was constantly reading books. I was reading articles. I was watching videos. I was doing everything that I could to kind of like develop my own knowledge of like what I would want to do. And then I would try a couple of those things out, and I'd be like, oh, it needs like a little more of this, or like, I really like the way this turned out and stuff like that. And like, it wasn't until I read that book and then I read about Scott Conant's Pomodoro is when I found out. I was like, okay, I'm going to try it this way. Like those two techniques basically put together in a way. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to try this. And then as soon as I tried it, I was like, that's it. That's the one. Because a lot of people don't understand, like, dude, there's people that put fucking salt and sugar and like all sorts of shit in their Pomodoro. And it's like, dude, it's not supposed to be sweet. It's not supposed to be sweet.
I hate when people want to put sugar like in chili, anything.
Yeah. Like sugar, it's not a food that's supposed to be fucking sweet. Yeah, so why are you putting sugar in it? Oh, just because it kind of like catches people like, oh, it's kind of sweet.
Dude, fuck that. Like, that would make me.
No. Dude, like, your daughter. Your daughter.
Yeah.
Loves the spaghetti,
dude.
I make.
I have never seen her attached to the food that you were making at Bruno's, and those were your recipes too, which is incredible. And that was something you brought. That it was like Stella was constantly trying to go back. It was like, well, I got to save a little money. Let's go.
Yeah. Like how old is she now?
She's 9 now.
Yeah. So like, if I can break a 9-year-old's taste buds with the most simple fucking thing in the world, that says something. Yeah. Right. There was no sugar added. There was no fucking.
No, dude. It was real. It was authentic.
It was real. And it's just one of those things where it's like sometimes. Now the only way that I will ever say like it needs sugar is if you get your San Marzino tomatoes and they're like tart, you gotta sprinkle a little sugar in that motherfucker.
Oh man,
you gotta do it because it's so much acidity that you have to erase it with something.
Sure.
And there's multiple times like where they'd be like, does it need sugar? Does it need but I'm like, I try it and I'd be like, fuck no.
There's not much I really add sugar to or like coffee. I like black. I don't like.
Yeah, I fucking have to have sweet tea though.
Sweet tea's different. Yeah, sweet tea. Yeah, okay. Like excluding
but that's about it.
Like, but that's a lot. That probably makes up for all the sugar I don't eat. Like stuff.
I am not really a sugar.
I don't
person.
like people put like barbecue. They'll do like kind of a sugary glaze. I don't. I hate that. I don't like that. Like I'm more of a savory guy.
Yeah. I like barbecue. It's literally just salt, pepper, and mustard.
Dude, dry rub, dude.
Salt, pepper, mustard. Smoke that bitch.
Just smoke.
Bring it in.
Just some fucking
smoke the bitch and bring it in.
Yeah, salt, pepper.
Rub it down with mustard, salt, pepper.
Maybe
boom,
I'm
throw
off
that bitch
here.
on the smoker and I'm good.
Salt and pepper is all you probably really need, right?
With barbecue?
Almost anything.
Pretty much.
Like salt, anything else is a luxury.
Yeah, and like for me too, like not just with Italian food, because actually a lot of Italian food doesn't have garlic in it. But garlic is another big thing.
It was because it wasn't available overseas.
I don't know.
Oh, where was I just hearing? Oh no, this is Rogie. Rogie was telling me, not telling me. He was telling somebody else. Me and Rogan are good friends. He was talking. He was like, garlic didn't really enter the Italian world until they started getting big into like New York and stuff, and it was readily available here in America because garlic's pretty hard to find in Europe.
Yeah.
And so, like, garlic is not as big of a deal of flavor-wise for Italian food as it is in American Italian food.
Like, there's some things that, like, I will say just needs it, right? I mean,
dude,
I love garlic.
Dude, there's
like,
some
I fucking love garlic.
Lucy's wontons, I'm pretty sure they put, like, some garlic and shit in there. It's incredible. Yeah. It's not just, like, cream cheese and imitation crab. There's also garlic. And it's goddamn delicious.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, I love using garlic. I love it.
Dude, garlic, like, onions, and butter or oil, that is one of the greatest smells on earth.
You start cooking onions and garlic and butter, and it's like,
yeah.
Ooh, that's good. Dude, that's good right there.
I wish that I could just eat that because, like, that's all I need. Sensory overload at that point. Like, that's just goddamn delicious.
Yeah. And Yeah, I don't know, man. Like just going forward, like, you know, Nona's is going to change a lot.
But you have a little bit of leniency there, right?
I do. I mean,
like almost a gratuitous amount, probably for somebody. But I think he sees what you did and what you created over there in such a short amount of time that
and
it's a no-brainer to hire you and let you kind of have free will, right?
No, it's like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, there, like I said, there's a staples. There's a staples we can't get rid of, and there's staples, of course, that I fucking hate. But hey,
but
that's what pays the bills.
Again, that's the line. That's the line you got to walk.
But other than that, no, it's about to get crazy. So it's gonna be. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna now go above and beyond what I planned on doing at Bruno's because I feel like I need to make a fucking point now.
Is that a spite?
Yeah,
absolutely. Is it got a spite menu coming?
Because like I said, now Bruno's is down the street.
You got Bruno's a spite menu?
Bruno's is nine buildings down. You know,
Bruno's now.
So it's one of those things where it's like they're my competition. You know, they're my competition.
Dude,
so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make sure that they can't fucking touch me.
Sometimes the best thing, like, because you really didn't have this kind of drive before. You had passion.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but the drive, business wise, to just go and do the best you can.
Yeah. And this has nothing to do with Bruno.
No, let's be clear about that.
Bruno, I'm not trying to bash your restaurant, okay? But
the people
what's
you
currently
sold it to?
there, what's currently going on there, I'm gonna bash the fucking restaurant. I mean, I'm gonna make sure that I am doing way better than they are.
So was it working under Bruno? I mean, was he? And I don't want to bash him anyway either, but it's like you do this for long enough, you're kind of just like looking to get out. But did he pass any like good wisdom on to you that he still had like some passion for recipes?
There was a lot of things, man. Like there was a lot of like little random things that like I didn't know before. Mm-hmm. You know, like Bruno had this weird palate. Right. And like, you know,
unique
that's the first time.
kind
like,
of?
yeah, like, and it's one of those things that's like, there's, you know, this is the level that I didn't get to yet because I didn't fucking know. Mm-hmm. But like with the first time he told me about prosciutto and melon, like, you know, like you literally take like melon and you cut it and then you wrap prosciutto around it and you put olive oil.
We're talking about like honeydew and like
honeydew,
melons.
cantaloupe, you know, anything like that. So you take that, you put prosciutto around the outside of it and you put extra virgin olive oil, salt, pepper, and a little bit of oregano. And the first time I saw that, I was like, what the fuck?
What are you eating, dude?
I was like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, oh, it's very good, very good. I'm like, ah. But then I sat there and I looked at it like while he was making it. I was like,
you got my interest.
Salty.
Put it all together.
Meat, olive oil, salt, pepper. Okay, it makes sense.
It's got all the pieces.
It makes
there.
sense. It has everything that you could want. You know, it has salt, fat, and acid. It has everything you could want. And
so
I'm
it's
like,
really the ultimate snack.
It makes sense.
It could be the ultimate snack.
And then like the first time he launched it, whenever I was there, it was like, dude, we sold a fucking shit ton of that stuff.
It was like an appetizer?
It was an appetizer. I was like, God damn, like people love this shit. So I tried it one day and I was like, that's pretty good.
No
like,
shit.
That's pretty good.
Now, is that a traditional thing he was doing?
Yeah, traditional. So like I
where are they getting melons?
I read a couple other books and stuff like that, and that's a popular thing. It's like no matter what it is, like whether it's melon, whether it's fruit, you know, whatever they can get a hold of.
Tomato.
Like I don't know, probably
good as hell.
But
just
it's
wrapped up in prosciutto.
It's one of those things where it's like you wrap that shit up with prosciutto, like whether it's a fucking strawberry. You know, you wrap it up because it's the same thing, right? You're
just
gonna get
canceling out the
sweetness and hardiness and saltiness and everything like that. So it's gonna be like, you know, they do that with fruit in general and melons if they can get them. You know, fruit, whatever the fuck it is. You know, that's where a charcuterie board came from.
I was gonna say no. Me and Ben were watching Abominable for That's Not What I Saw. It was great. Yeah. I kept doing these. I kept putting those in because the guy Lloyd Braun from Seinfeld's in there, and that's all you know him from. Yeah. So it was quite a bit of those. But we were talking about it, and he made just some little snacks, and it was Gouda cheese, these Hungarian, the new Hy-Vee. You been to that new Hy-Vee?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I've heard it's incredible. He got these like Bavarian sausages, a little Gouda, and then he put this spicy jelly on over the top of it. It was an incredible little snack, but it's that combination of things that you would think don't belong together.
Yeah,
it's like spicy, sweet, salty. It's dude, like you said, it quenches all your thirst, dude. It's a perfect snack.
Yeah, like you learn a lot of these things like once you really start experimenting with food,
Mm-hmm.
like I never realized how good peanut brittle was with.
Fucking love peanut brittle, dude.
Have you ever had it with like fruit?
No.
Yeah, so like I there
Like
was one time
like, simultaneously
years ago.
or
Yeah.
like inside the brittle.
No, like we made peanut brittle, and we were doing it in a moose bouche, which is basically a like a one bite type of thing. That basically what the idea of it is like it's gonna make your mouth water, so you're gonna get even more ready for dinner. So I was like, okay, I want to do something with peanut brittle. So I made peanut brittle, and I was like, what can I do with this? And I was like, I tried the peanut brittle, and I sat down and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna try it with like a mixed berry reduction, right? So I made this mixed berry reduction, and I put it on top of the peanut brittle, and I did a couple other little things that really complemented the look of the amuse bouche. But then I tried it, and I was like, fuck, that's good. Dude, it's like you get this like caramely saltiness like with this crunch, and then all of a sudden you get like this fucking hit of berry. You know, it's like, dude, it's so good.
Do you think somebody like Bruno that's been in the industry so long, been exposed to so many flavors across the world? You think somebody like that has just boiled it down to what is really fucking good and what really does it all? So something like that, where he's like, over the years he's developed. This is the perfect
and like
little thing.
you know, and the thing that really like I know about Bruno is like, you know, he's traveled. Mm-hmm. So I know he's eaten a lot of different type of like Italian food. He also ate a lot of different like, you know, type of like, I think he used to own a restaurant in Sweden. So it's like, then you had like Nordic Swedish food and like, you know, just all like the dude's traveled, you know, like he just got back from Costa Rica for 3 weeks, you know, like, so he's eating like Costa Rican food, you know, things like that. It's like, he's got to travel, and, you know, he told me like, you know, it's pretty cool. 'Cause he told me that his mom, would literally make food every day, all day long. So it was one of those things where it's like, you know, he would always have like, and I asked him, I said, you know, like with Italian people, like, why are you so obsessed with pasta? Right? I have to ask them.
Sure.
That. I'm like, you know, I like
question.
pasta, but I could not eat that shit every day. I just can't do it. But Bruno would literally eat pasta every single day. And I'm like, did your mom like make pasta every single day for every meal? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, you know, she'd have fruit, she'd have bread, she'd have pasta, you know, stuff like that. He's like, even when it comes to breakfast, he's like, a lot of the time they would have like some sort of pasta with like, you know, some breakfast food or whatever. And I was like, so you would eat pasta for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And he was like, yeah.
Damn.
And I was like, is that like normal? And he's like, if your mom cooks in Italy, yeah, that's normal. So it's just like, you know, then he's got to experience all the things that like his mother had made. You know, so he developed those like his whole entire life. And then like you get to travel, you get to eat other Italian places, like you get to, you know, kind of experience like, you know, the food in Italy in general. Right. You know, it's like, so he has a very developed palate.
And that's got to be super awesome for you, like super beneficial to you. Like that information that he got by living there and his mom got for years of the generations gone on, you were able to absorb that information without having to actually
there's
live in
a lot
Italy.
of the like
you got first generation experience.
Some of the things that I learned from him, I was like, why the fuck do you do that? You know, like,
right.
That's a little weird.
But then isn't like that the fun part of it?
You try it and then you're like, oh, it's good.
But that changes your whole way of cooking and your whole way of thinking about food in general.
Even with me and him, man, like I would make some shit and he'd be like, I don't know about that.
But that was it like just because it was too Americanized?
I'm new aged.
Oh,
new age. I have a different brain. Like younger people literally have a different brain, especially like if you do become a chef. If like younger chefs have a different palate and different brain.
Well,
than,
think of
than
it as
the
music.
Old heads.
Think of it as music.
Yeah,
you know, like, it's no different really. It's all art. So you're gonna have new influences. And he's going to have his mom and generations of Italian influences. So he's going to have a certain palate in a certain way. And he's going to like what he likes.
Yeah. And like
but it's got to be nice for you to be able to dive into that world a little bit.
Yeah.
And get that kind of experience and say like, you know, and have him tell you like, nah, I don't like it. And you're like, why don't you like it? And you can have that conversation and get that kind of firsthand experience.
And that's the thing is like, I never had him tell me that he didn't like something that I made. He would just be like, oh, I don't know about that. And then
you probably did the same thing to him.
Try it. And then he'd be like, that's really good. I'm like, I told you. You know, it's like, so me and him kind of got to do that back and forth for months.
That's the best education that you could really have. And even if you're not particularly into Italian food.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I know you mentioned it's like not your biggest thing in the world,
no.
but you now have this under your belt.
Yeah, now it's like I just keep learning more and more and more and more
Do you
and
grow
more
more
about Italian food.
Like appreciation for it as you go on?
I really do, because
more
like
than when you started?
now like I have never like been excited to go to Italy, because I was kind of like, you know, not like a destination that I was like, I have to fucking go there.
Right.
But now it's one of the places that I want to go to the most.
I'm sure. Well, isn't there just it varies so much region to region, just in that small peninsula?
Yeah, like one of the books that I've read, it's called Pasta.
Great title.
And basically what they do, and this is probably one of the coolest and best books about pasta that I think I've ever read.
You read a lot of books about pasta?
Yeah, like Italian food, pasta, things like that. So that book, basically, they go through and they show you, I mean, there's probably 40 or 50 pages of like just pasta noodles and how to make them, right? And it also, like all different, noodles? All different. Wow. So then they also break down, if you were to buy this pasta dry, this is the region that you should get it from. Because this region is known for making this pasta.
Sure, and isn't it too, like, the wheat grown in that region that was ground down to do it also has a huge effect.
Yeah. And like, you know, the thing that me and Sean Kraft were talking about today was a lot of people don't understand that if you're ordering, like, you know, if I was to order pasta from Gragnano or from Montegrano or something like that, the places that are the absolute best at making dried pasta, for a reason. They're literally the number one in the world. Number one and number two. Montegrano, Gragnano. If I was to order that pasta, a lot of people would have no idea if it was fresh or if it was dry.
Really?
It's that fucking good. So, and the thing is, like, a lot of the fresh pasta here in town, like, which there is none.
I was going to say,
no, there is none.
You weren't making fresh pasta.
No.
Were you
buying? I was ordering good pasta. Now, was I ordering Montegrano or Gragnano?
The best you could get from U.S. Foods, I'm sure.
But, yeah, like I was getting the best that I could.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, we were talking about it today, and we were like, dude, a lot of people just don't understand that, like, if we made fresh pasta, like at Nona's or wherever, it's not going to be that good. And the reason why is because
what we're used to?
You have to realize that a big part of why their pasta is so good over there is two reasons. There's two reasons. We can get semolina flour here, right? We can get, you know, a good quality semolina flour, but the two reasons why their pasta is better over there is because of the water, and the egg. Their eggs over in Italy are like a bright orange. You know,
it's because
it's
of
not
the diet,
like I don't know, but it's one of those things where it's like it's the egg.
Have you tried it with like a farm fresh egg here in America?
There, all these chickens are raised the exact same way, and like yes, we have good eggs in you know in America, but when it comes to like what I can't remember, like Sean Kraft was telling me about it, but I can't remember exactly what was different about like their chickens over there compared to what they are here. But he's like the egg is one of the biggest parts of why it's different because of the color, because of the nutrients, because of all these things. So when you go to Italy, you can use the exact same ingredients. You could have the exact same guy from Italy make pasta there, and you try it, and you'll be like, oh, man, this is good.
And it's a noticeable difference.
Then you can come here, and you'll be like, that ain't as good. You know, so it's just one of those things where it's like their water, look how fucked up our water is.
And that's so interesting because we talked about this almost entirely in an entire episode on tomatoes, but one of the reasons that Italian tomatoes taste so different is because of the volcanic ash there from like Pompeii and shit. And so it's just, the tomatoes are just totally different. So it's almost, that peninsula is just totally
And that's why
different.
their water is different too.
No, because it has a filter through that shit, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like our water has bleach, fluoride, fucking all sorts of bullshit in it that's not supposed to be in there. You know, and there's probably some, you know, things in Italy's water too, just along with everyone else's. But the fact is their water is so much cleaner than ours is. So like we would have to, in order for you to make pasta that could taste nearly as good, is to buy the best eggs that you can and go and buy like fucking, pane water. Like that's Italian water. So like you'd have to go and like literally buy pane water
Italian
and use
spring
that
water
in your fucking pasta. You know how expensive that gets?
Fuck that, yeah.
You know how expensive that fucking gets? Because in Italy, they can just go.
And
like,
again, it's probably a negligible taste to a regular customer coming in.
A lot of people aren't going to know.
That's the thing. You might notice because you notice, but I mean, blind across the board, it's not worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
And at the same time, too, like people also don't understand that some pasta is meant to be dried. Some pastas are literally meant to be dried.
Well, like the shaped ones, maybe, because
like those are actually I think supposed to be fresh.
Really?
But like spaghetti and stuff like that, those are supposed to be dried.
Really?
Yeah. Like that's how it's supposed to be.
That's opposite of the way I would think.
Exactly. But it's one of those things where it's like, tortellini. Tortellini, the thing that takes fucking forever to actually make like a decent batch of them.
Stuff it and wrap
and then wrap them around your fucking finger. It's like those are supposed to be fresh.
I'm not fucking doing that.
We get them frozen.
Yeah, no shit.
We get them fucking frozen. From that's just how it is. Like dude, that is a pasta that is supposed to be fresh. And when you taste like, which I've never had it because I've never been to Italy, but if other people probably have made it, but at the same time, no one's gonna fucking do it, right? Nah. No one is that dedicated to Italian food in Springfield, Missouri, where they're making their own tortellini. I'm sorry,
dude. No,
I'm sorry.
I bet there's 5 houses.
No, I won't do it.
I bet there's 5 residents that once a year they'll make fresh tortellini.
I would do it at home about once a year for me and my girlfriend. Yeah, and that's it.
Dude, you're not making more.
I'm only
than
wrapping fucking 30 of those bitches.
You're not making more than 2 people's worth.
No.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like those are pastas that are supposed to be fresh, and I think, I'm gonna go to Italy this year. I will.
No, that's awesome.
So it's one of those things where
count me in. Let's go to Italy.
So when I go there, that's one of the most things that I want to try the most. I really do. I want to try like fresh fucking tortellini.
All right.
Compared to what I've had.
Now I'm sure you've given this some thought because you don't seem like a guy that just says stuff without giving it some thought. When you go to Italy, I mean, do you have these places lined out? Because in my mind, when I go to Italy, it's like what I want is that Italian grandma kind of meat, like just been done for years. I don't know if I even want to go to a restaurant. I mean, are there restaurants that are able to do this and promote and do with the kind of love?
That's what I would say a majority of Italy is still those like grandma style of cooking. They might elevate it a little bit. Make it look a little better on the plate.
Fast track it
but
a little bit,
at the same time, like, dude, I don't think that they're doing anything like to stray away from that tradition. I really don't. Like people, like the Michelin restaurants and things like that are serving Italian food over there, and even in America and things like that, like those, they got to do a little more because it's not easy to fucking earn a Michelin star. So they have to do a little bit more. They might be fucking taking, bone marrow and using that in their fucking stock. Like, just things like that you're not going to traditionally do, which they might do that. I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's like they're having to do these things to be a Michelin-starred Italian restaurant because it's not easy to do that.
Is it just saying they're doing it, or does it make that big of a difference?
That's a big difference.
Really?
Like to get a Michelin star in an Italian restaurant, I would say that's probably
you have to stand apart.
Yeah, like I would say that's probably one of the hardest Michelin stars to get is in an Italian restaurant.
Probably
because when you think about it,
there's
Italian
not that much
food
variation.
is simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah, and
it's
the simpler
simple.
the better. Honestly,
so like you have to make your own pasta most of the time. Like, and you have to be using fucking some awesome bottled water in order for you to, or you're filtering all your own water.
Said, this is simple as something as an egg can totally change the entire experience.
So that's the thing too, is like, the Michelin restaurants and shit like that. Yeah, they're probably going above and beyond like what has came from the roots, but they're still using the roots no matter how they look at it. Just like the episode we were talking about like, French cooking is basically in every food.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think the Italian restaurants that are getting Michelin stars are straying away from that. I think they're building on it.
Sure, I'd say they're inching closer to it in an industrial scale.
Most of the places in Italy, I feel like, like I said, I've never been there, but I've also, Sean Kraft goes there all the fucking time.
And there's YouTube. And, I mean, I'm sure you watch a shit ton of hours on YouTube.
Sean always shows me like this, this pasta. I'm like, someone's grandmother started that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at it and it's not anything like visually like, holy fuck. It's just like this beautiful little pasta with this awesome looking sauce, and you can tell that the noodles are probably made, or the pasta is made from scratch, and it looks fucking amazing, and it's like, then you have to, you have them tell you like, oh, this is, dude, you don't understand how good this is, so then for me, it's like, fuck me. Like, I want to understand, like, I want to understand, like, what the difference is between my bolognese and their bolognese. Like, I'm doing the most traditional bolognese that you can do, but I want to know what the difference is between mine and theirs. Do they not grind their meat up enough? Do they, do they leave a little bit more chunky meat in their bolognese? I don't know. I want to know.
Right.
I want to know.
It's that's part of it. So is there any part of you, because like there's, I think there's an instance, because I really respect restaurant owners and chefs too, because, there's people I know that own restaurants that I'm amazed less about their ability to cook food and their recipes, but their mind for efficiency and making these. It's wild. It's almost like nobody ever met, but they have this ability to see efficiency. Do you ever come across a recipe that you really want to do and you have to tap that side of your mind for efficiency and be like, how do I make this to where everyone, like, we can knock this out and it can actually be profitable?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, is like a lot of the time, like if you own a restaurant, if you own a restaurant, you always have to think about those things, because in reality, at the end of the day, that's what your goal is to make money, right?
Right.
But there has been sometimes, like even when I was at Bruno's, like there has been sometimes where I'll like order fucking, Chilean sea bass, and I see the price that I'm paying for that literally that fucking piece of fish, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to be like, look, I want to let people know that we can cook this, and I want to let people like kind of experience it, because people love sea bass. But the problem is that it's so expensive, right? So like, going into that, you're not going to make a lot of money off of it, But
is that a decision you make knowing that you want to do it? It's not about making money at that point. It's about the art at that point.
It's like I want to use sea bass. So but I know for a fact that I can't turn around and charge $60 for a piece of fish. I know you can't do that. Right. And it's one of those things where it's like you go into it and you look at it as like, oh shit, like we're only gonna make, $12 off of this dish. But at the same time, like then you get the other side of it, where like you can see these people eating that sea bass and they're just fucking loving their life and things like that. So it's like, we only made $12, but that makes me happy and they're happy, so I don't give a fuck.
Sure. Well, they'll come back for something else.
They'll come back, and they know now that we can cook fish, right? They know now that these flavors that I put with this sea bass was completely different than shit that they would get down the street. So they want to come back now and see like what else I'm doing with fish,
Yeah. And to, especially, it's not like you advertise, so word of mouth. Yeah. Even if it's, you say, I had the best fish at this Italian restaurant, I'd be like, okay, well, guess what? Their pasta is probably going to be pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
If that's how they do fish. So I see the value in that. I guess I'm just curious about the switch in the brain, and maybe, there's not an answer to it, and it's just sometimes it's this and sometimes it's that. But I'm always mesmerized by the efficiency of things.
I don't really think there is I don't think there is a switch.
Or you think it's just melding the two constantly?
It all just kind of goes together. Like if you have a crazy idea for something, like a lot of the time, like unless it's just like absolutely absurd in price, you're just gonna make it. right? I mean, like you don't really think about like, you have to of course think about the profit and how you price things, but if you are making a special and you're like, okay, this is what I'm pretty much paying for this whole entire dish, I can charge this much. Like, I mean, you're always thinking about that.
Okay, so to do the other side of that, I think a lot of times someone does a special because they need to sell something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm running out of this. This needs to be sold. I'm doing a special from this dish to get rid of it. Now, it sounds like your specials were to push the limits a little bit on your.
Like
You had access
to show
it.
People like.
So you used it in a different way than probably most restaurants use.
Like and really like at Bruno's, man, like we never had to run a special because we needed to get rid of something. Like there was very, very few times like, you know, where
it's sauce and pasta and pizza. Yeah, like it's you're not really running out.
Our eggplant, we have too much eggplant and we need to use it for something cool. We make a fucking soup out of it, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you have to think about those things, but
this
the way
allows
that I was
the
doing
creativity to if your rep came to you and said, "Hey, we got this."
The way that I was doing stuff, you know, at Bruno's, like we really never had to run into a situation where it was like, "Fuck, we need to get rid of this." Like we would do fish, and I would run out of fish, you know, at least 2 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, I would do a special on Tuesday, and as soon as we basically got to Thursday, I'd be out of that fish again, and then on Thursday I would get more. And then I would be out of it by Saturday. You know, it's like, but they would be completely different. Right? I never would serve the same fish, right? I would never serve the same dish. You know, lately, towards the end, the past couple of weeks, we've been serving the same dish because that was the dish that's was going to go on the next menu. So it's one of those things where it's like,
you were building people's...
running, dude, but at the same time, like that dish went ape shit.
Yeah.
Like people were fucking going crazy over that.
You want to say it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a salt cured halibut with we basically cook that in butter and apples.
Oh, damn, dude! I never thought about apples.
So yeah, we put butter and apples.
And I found this interesting. Ben was telling me he was in New York one time, and he was at one of those old Jewish delis, and they would take a slicer and they'd take an apple and they'd run that as thin as you could, and they put it on a sandwich. And he was like, it was one of the best sandwiches I ever had, just having that thin slice of apple on a sandwich, and I'd never considered it.
Yeah.
But I was like, once I heard it, I knew that. I was like, actually, that sounds fucking great. Apples are probably pretty underutilized.
They are. So yeah, we cooked the halibut in the butter and the apples, and once that halibut got close, we would throw a little bit of red chili flake in there, like very, very little, and then mushroom. And then once the mushroom started to kind of like break down, then at the very end, you would add honey.
Ugh, I hate honey.
Dude, it's so good. So you would add honey, and then once that kind of turned into like almost like a caramel, then you would add kale, and at the very end, and
just
toss
like
it
flash
around.
fry it kind of?
Yeah, like you just toss it around until the kale's like basically covered, and then you would plate that, and then we made a beurre blanc, which is basically like shallots, wine, butter, cream. So you got like this creamy, buttery wine sauce on top of it. And like, dude, that people went fucking nuts over that.
And you were able to get like pretty good fish like regularly?
Yeah.
Because we're about the worst place.
Chris Perkins is the man.
Oh,
yeah, Chris Perkins is the man.
So because like you couldn't be further away from the sea, really.
Fuck no.
Like where we're at right now. But you were able to get it good. Yeah. I mean, he just had the connections. Is that how
like
he would go? Kind of work?
He would go down.
Was he separate from like a major
Texas.
food service?
Yeah,
he was just
like he would go down to Texas and get stuff. Like I mean, that's how I got my tile fish. Like he literally went straight to a provider in Texas, and the tile fish came in fresh. Shit wasn't frozen, you know. And that's
a direct drive.
That's coming from Texas, you know. So it's like. Yeah, and he would go down to Louisiana and get crawfish and things like that. So it's like,
on a plane? What's the deal?
He just drives.
Just drives.
Yeah. So he would do whatever it takes to and that's why his business is so fucking popular, because he gets the best seafood in town. You know, and like, sometimes some things are frozen, but it's literally because you cannot get it fresh in Missouri.
Right.
You know?
Or you wouldn't want it fresh by the time you got it.
The quality of it, you know, as long as the quality of it, whenever that shit's thawed, if the quality of it is like fucking insane, that's all you want. You know, I don't care if something's frozen as long as the fucking quality matches it.
Well, that's the thing, is any of these restaurants, there's so many meals I've thought of in my life where I said, that was fucking good, even if I can't go back and get that exact same thing, I know it was a special. If I can't get that exact same thing, I know whatever at that restaurant, whatever they're cooking is fucking insane. I know it's going to be good. And you think about that. You get hung up on meals. The same like with Mexican Villa. You get hung up on that shit, and you're like, I can't stop thinking about it, and I need to go get that shit.
Yep.
And that's a powerful thing as a chef or a restaurateur. Like, that's what you want. You want people not being able to control themselves when they get the thought of your food in their mind.
Yep. Because you want, I mean, as a restaurant owner, you want people to get addicted to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and if you get people addicted to it, it's like, you know, it's like a legal and non-harmful drug that they get addicted to.
Dude, no, food is a huge drug. Like, you know, it's not talked about as a drug, but it really is. You know, that's why obesity is such a problem. Like, people fucking love the satisfaction and gratification they get from a good meal.
Yep.
And I find myself, like, especially if it's easy and you can go pick it up and it's made, like, it's pretty hard to just ignore that craving.
Dude, like, you know, like I said in the beginning of this episode, like, I'm not really a sweet guy.
Yeah.
But I found these fucking donuts at Hy-Vee.
Damn, Hy-Vee, it's out of control. I've heard. I haven't been. I may go tomorrow. I may just sneak in there.
I can't remember what the donuts are called, but they're so fucking good.
Just like a regular donut?
Yeah. Like, it's just a chocolate glazed donut, but they put, like, I think, like, some form of, like, lemon in the actual donut.
Oh, you can't quite place it?
So you kind of, like, you bite into it and you get this, like, this awesome chocolate with this, like, lemony cake donut.
My God.
And there's only, like, I think there's 8 of them in a box. Boy, I'll crush about 4 of them in one sitting.
I got to get over there.
They're fucking good. I'll send you a Snapchat whenever I get home.
No, you got more?
I got a box of them. But, like, dude, those donuts are just fucking ridiculous. Like, insane.
Damn, Hy-Vee really stepped up the game here.
Oh, Hy-Vee was
already good over there.
Hy-Vee's cracked out.
I've heard this. What pisses me off is I used to live a street over. And I was planning on buying a golf cart because they have, you know, the brunch there, which the brunch on the Battlefield one is out of control. It's delicious. And so I was planning on, like, spending a lot of time over there. I was going to make this thing around on mimosas. Like, it was just going to go straight from my house to Hy-Vee. Never happened. They took too long to make it. But it's sad.
Now you're far as fuck away from
know.
both of them.
I can't even make it over there. I know. But, so any final words about your future?
No. I mean, just pay attention to what happens at Nona's. So a lot of things are going to change.
When do you start?
Better. I start on Tuesday.
Damn. Are they open on Mondays?
That's the only day they're closed, actually.
Fuck. I was gonna
so they're open on Sundays.
I was going to get a pre-tailored Nona, but it's not.
They're open on Sundays, and they're open Tuesday through Sunday. So
damn. So just one day off?
Which I'll probably take 2 days off. But a lot of things are going to change there, and, you know, it's just going to be fun, man. Like, he has a badass upstairs.
Really?
Like, dude, it's fucking,
got any plans there?
It's fucking sweet, right? And he, you know, it's all finished up. There's, like, a little bar up there, and it's, like, all this, like, kind of, like,
dude, we should do live podcasts
this,
up
like,
there.
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
See if I talked to him about that.
I have a fucking key to the motherfucker. I'll just go in there.
Dude, I'm telling you, we get some peeps up there. We could do
love it. You would love it,
dude. We should do that.
So it's, you know, there's, like, the big windows upstairs, you know, looking over, like, it was straight across to Finnegan's, basically.
Right.
But, like, he has these old, like, fucking, like gaudy, you know, like, chairs, you know, like, there's, like, this,
like, Renaissance chairs.
Dude, it just feels like the Renaissance era up there. Like it's
King
very,
shit.
oh yeah, like, it feels just very Renaissance-y up there. You know,
awesome,
it's fucking
dude.
awesome.
We could do some shit up there.
But I didn't know until today that Nona's is built kind of weird, right? Because they had to build it the way that they did.
Right on the corner, right?
Yeah, like, they had to build it the way they did, and they had to extend it in a way to make it where the building works, right? So basically, like, the front of it, like, whenever you walk in, there's, like, the dining room, and then they have, like, this little, like, there's like 10 stairs and you can go up to like the top level of the dining room, and it sees straight into the kitchen, which is really cool. So, but then like, you're still a part of like the dining room, but like you can see over into the kitchen, which is super cool.
Yeah. It's like a balcony kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a balcony that basically looks into the kitchen, and then you go upstairs, which is where like the Renaissance era of awesomeness is. But I didn't know until the other day that he actually built a fucking deck on the roof.
Oh, dude.
Of Nona's.
Dude, that's the summertime podcast.
Like,
right
dude,
there.
it is literally like you can probably fit 3 2-tops on this deck, but it's like you go upstairs, you go to the the Renaissance era room, and then you go straight and there's a door and there's fucking like you just go outside and you're on top of the roof. He built a fucking deck up there. It is fucking sweet.
Woo.
And we're like, he was talking to me today. He's like, I really want to like, because there's like this little side room that's like it's basically just storage right now. But he wants to, well, we're going to end up turning that into like a little kitchen where you can, if you have 3 tables, like that's going to be a reservation only type of thing during the summer and shit like that.
Dude,
that's going to be a reservation only type of thing. And we'll literally cook for those 6 people, like this special type of Italian menu upstairs. Like just on like little fucking, electric, stovetops and stuff like that. We'll cook those upstairs. So the people that are sitting out there are going to get personally catered to them, their own little type of menu.
Dude, that's beautiful.
Yeah, like, dude, it's fucking awesome. Like, and that's right in the middle of downtown. Like you're on the roof.
Hey,
like,
I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to sneak us doing a podcast up there.
Yeah.
But if we could set up, because I love to do this in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
That's been my dream to do this for a long time. If we could find a way to get enough of a following to where we could set up like set something up and have like live people there.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, I will say this. Bruno's gave me a lot of availability to do a lot of things that I wanted. But there was also a lot of things that I couldn't do because of like the way that it was set up and things like that. And I will say this to whoever the fuck ends up watching this. Nona's is giving me so much more of a potential to do other things besides just cook the same food every day, Dude,
so make experiences.
We're going to start doing wine dinners. We're going to start doing wine dinners like upstairs, like cooking, just getting these like, maybe 6 bottles of wine and having like a certain amount of people up there and be like, hey, this is the dish that we made for this wine. Here's this, here's that. We're just going to do wine dinners up there.
That's what people want.
That's what people want right now for sure.
Yeah.
So
they want an experience. They want to say, I'm going to have dinner and it's going to be a whole thing. Not I'm just going to eat some pasta and then go home.
Yeah. And it's like right now, dude, like the way that upstairs is like, Bruno's upstairs in that building had like a bunch of potential, but you had to do a bunch of work to get it there.
Right.
So who knows how long it would have been before I could have ended up doing something like that there. Nona's is already done.
Yeah, it's
like
nice.
Nona's is fucking awesome upstairs. So it's one of those things where it's like I already have the availability to start doing these like wine dinners and these tasting menus and stuff like that for upstairs. And that is something that I love doing that shit.
But I
love it. Because at the same time, people reserve it. They feel special when they go up there because they get this own little like tasting menu and these crazy wines that they've never heard of. And it
brings something that you're not going to find anywhere else. Like that's not there's a demand for that in Springfield. I got to say, even for me, just a dumbass, almost country guy. Like I'm interested as hell in that because it exposes you to something that you didn't. It's a new experience.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you can do like it does. We don't even just have to do wine dinners.
No,
we can do like whiskey dinners.
Dude, the potential's unlimited.
Whatever the fuck we want.
Dude, yeah.
So it gives me the availability to do that, but at the same time, it also gives me the availability to do like what we were talking about, like with the deck outside.
Yeah.
Cooking for 6 people upstairs in my own little like shack room and cooking for those people and just letting them have a good time on top of a fucking roof in downtown Springfield.
Dude, rooftop's a big deal right now.
Dude, that's the type of shit that like is awesome to me.
No, I'm excited for you.
Stoked.
I'm
stoked
having
to
talked
do
to you because I didn't call you after any of this happened. I was like, I want to talk to you in person. I want to hear from you what happened, and I just, You know, it's easier because I knew you probably had a bunch of texts and calls. So I was like, well, I'm not going to be a part of that.
Especially the first day.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Thursday was
I was like, I'm not going to bug him.
insane. So,
but you know, it was, you know, it's cool. I think this is more catered towards you and what your potential is. And the more we talk about it, the more I realize maybe you were held back by Bruno's a little bit.
And that's the thing is like this, you know, now going forward.
Because what I thought you could do at Bruno's, you really couldn't.
No. And now.
Yeah. Dude, the
now
fucking throttle's
about
wide
to
open.
Now shit, like I said, man, it's not just about like, you know, kind of having like this little like vengeance that I have towards Bruno's, but it's also just like about me developing into an even better chef and things like that. So it's like I'm able to do those things, and I'm able to, you know, serve people with wine dinners, and I'm able to serve like these random 6 people that sit on our balcony upstairs on the roof, like, you know. Those are the things that, like, you know, that will make my name go out even more. And people are going to be like, dude, like, you have to go to Nona's to get this. You have to go to the wine dinner. You have to go to the wine dinner. You know, like they have this little rooftop deck that holds 6 people. Like, make your fucking reservation.
That's what makes
awesome,
your name.
You know,
that's what makes. It's not specials that makes your name.
It's an exclusive thing.
It's
you
not
know?
specials that makes your name. It's experiences. And now you have the ability to make experiences for people. Yeah. And I think that's going to help you out more than anything, more than any halibut dish you could ever make.
Yeah. So, like, you know, like I said, just pay attention to what goes on at Nona's. So
I'm excited. I'm sure you'll be the first person to let me know.
It's gonna be crazy.
All right.
So take it easy.
Well, that's the story, folks.
That'll wrap it up.
That'll wrap it up, folks. All right. We'll see y'all later.